Hello, this is Breakfast from BBC News with Charlie State and Naga Munchetti.
A huge fire has raged through the night at a West London tower block, with eyewitnesses claiming people were trapped inside.
More than 200 firefighters are still tackling the blaze at Grenfell Tower in North Kensington, where hundreds of people are thought to live. London Ambulance said that 30 people are receiving hospital treatment. We can get the latest now from our correspondent Tim Muffet.
I'm at Latimer Community Church, which is just close to the site of the blaze, where people are gathering, talking to each other, utterly shocked, utterly devastated. Paul, you live opposite the flats, don't you? What did you see?
That's right, yeah. I woke up about 1:30 this morning to look across the road and see the big Grenfell Tower in towering inferno blaze, just fire coming out of every window, windows smashing and exploding. Things falling out, people screaming, people jumping out on fire, chucking ropes down what they've made out of bed sheets to try and climb out. Just complete nightmare, absolute nightmare.
And Paul, the people you've been speaking to here, what else have they been saying as well? What other stories have you been hearing?
Everyone's just been in such tears, upset, people that have obviously not got out and just upset about how it's happened and how this catastrophe could happen in London after it's just been refurbished.
So were there concerns raised before about the safety aspect at all?
Not what I know of. And you think after millions of pounds were spent on the tower block, you think that it'd be safe, and you think that this event, even if a fire did happen through electric or gas, you think that that could not happen after spending millions of pounds on a refurbishment. As it is, it did happen, and the blaze has been going on since 1 a.m. this morning, which I think is just a complete, well, terrible, pathetic, and not up to what it should be.
Well, thank you very much indeed. Appreciate you telling us what you saw last night. Thank you very much indeed. Well, people are gathering here, people just bringing bags of clothes. They've clearly had to get out quickly from where they are in a state of shock, a state of complete devastation.
Tim, thank you very much. We should make very clear at this stage that the cause of the fire is not known. So the London Fire Brigade has said 200 firefighters, more than 40 engines are at the scene, dealing with this blaze in West London. And the London Ambulance Service has informed us that so far 30 people have been taken to hospital as a result of injuries from this fire. We've had no other details on any casualties or other injuries.
Yes, on the issue of casualties, in the last few minutes, an emergency number has been set up for anyone concerned for loved ones, and the number we can bring you here, the Casualty Bureau, is 0800 0961 233. You can see the number on the screen there, 0800 0961 233. That's the number for anyone concerned about anyone caught up in the fires, and we know that some 500 people lived in the apartment block. Richard Lister can remind us of the details of what's happened.
The fire raged through the night. This 27-storey block, home to hundreds of people, was engulfed in flame. In the chaos, it was unclear how many were able to get out. Some were trapped inside for some time at least, standing at windows in the desperate hope of rescue.
They need to ring 999. There is a dedicated line for this incident, OK?
On the ground, police cleared a wide cordon and closed the nearby A40 in and out of London. Some 200 fire engines were brought in to tackle the blaze. As the hours passed, the concern was whether the building might collapse and who might still be trapped inside. Many people were led to safety, but some 30 were taken to hospital. Others were counting their blessings. David Benjamin was in the block when the fire began.
Yeah, there was smoke everywhere, literally everywhere. There was people downstairs, there was bits of the block, the cladding falling off the block that was on fire. People screaming after a couple of minutes, because obviously people were still sleeping on the higher floors, so they didn't have a clue what was going on. I'm not even sure if half of them got out, to be honest with you.
The block is now a smoking ruin. It's been declared a major emergency. How it began and the full extent of the casualties are still unclear. Richard Lister, BBC News.
Yes, and these are the live images this morning. The helicopter capturing some of the surrounding area as well. Just to give you a sense of the geography, the Grenfell, the building itself is in Latimer Road, the Grenfell Tower. This is in a very built-up area of West London. If you know the area, you'll know that, in fact, I think you see it in that image there. You can see the Westway, the A40, the main route going to London is just behind the building there, and it's near Notting Hill Gate, Shepherd's Bush not far away as well. And you can see how built up the area is around, and there is real concern this morning. Of course, the first concern is over casualties, and we're awaiting more information on that, but real concern over the stability of the structure itself. As you can see, huge damage, only a small portion of the building unaffected by the fire, and indeed you can still see, I think, flames inside the building. Up until around an hour ago, they were clearly visible.
We understand that the fire began somewhere close to the 4th floor and rapidly escalated in terms of size. You can see firefighters tackling this building, or the blaze in the building, from all sides. We've heard some very harrowing eyewitness accounts this morning, and we should warn viewers that they may find some of these accounts distressing, as we hear from people who managed to escape from the building or who were watching people who were either screaming for help from inside the building or who had also managed to escape. Well, we spoke to Mikey earlier. He did manage to get out of the building with his partner and daughter.
Well, it's about 1:30. I'm in bed with my girlfriend. She's fast asleep. My little girl's next door, fast asleep. So I'm drifting in and out of consciousness, and I smell something plasticky. So I jump up because I'm worried about the devices we got, the Kindles, the iPads, stuff like that. So I've gone and checked everything. Everything's okay, but I can still smell this smell. Gone into the kitchen. I've opened the window. I lit up a cigarette. As I was smoking the fag, I can hear shouting. So I'm wondering what's going on, and I hear a lady going, "It's getting bigger. It's getting bigger." So I think there's something seriously wrong here. So I've gone to the front door. I've looked through the spy hole, and I can see the smoke everywhere. I've opened the door. There's all neighbours running out. "Get down the stairs." Fireman's there. "Get down the stairs," he's shouting. So I've gone inside. I've put my dressing gown, and I've grabbed the little girl, put her under my dressing gown, got my girlfriend, and ran down the stairs. Now, our advice was always been told, if there's ever a fire, stay in your flat. So now the flames penetrate the door. If we'd stayed in that flat, we would have been perished. And it just spread like wildfire, because it was covered in clad in the block of flats. The smoke alarm was useless. You know, I mean, it wouldn't have woke up nothing. You know, the smoke alarm was that big, and I could only hear it in the hallway, not in your flat. It was horrendous. People up at the windows screaming, and the thing went up in, it felt like seconds. It was just going up and up and up and up. I'd never seen nothing like it. It was like something out of a Hollywood disaster movie.
You know of other people who got out?
Yeah, well, I've just seen my neighbour in the centre there. He got out, luckily enough. I also see a lady that was up on the 22nd floor. She's got 6 kids. She left with them all. When she got to the bottom, there was 2 kids and still can't find them. There was kids screaming up at windows, smashing the windows, explosions going off. It was, I'm shaking still. I can't believe I'm in shock. I'm just grateful that I got us out of there. But if we'd listened to them and stayed in that house, we would have perished.
Do you know how many people live in the block of flats?
Well, there's 24 or 25 floors, and there's 6 flats on each floor. So, you know, there's got to be a couple of 100 people. Some flats are 1 bedroom, some 2, 3, 4. You know, there's a wide range of rooms in the flats.
And we hear that there was some kind of gas testing taking place.
Yeah, but about 6 weeks ago, there was a local resident that owned the tenancy, and he kept saying to us, "Look, they're going to come round and try and change everything to gas." Refused to do it. They're going to ask you to sign it. And I goes, "Well, it's all right. I'll still use electricity anyway, so they're not going to put no gas pipes through here." But I did see them working on the stairwell on the gas pipes, but not on our flat. But I did see over the weeks it going on the work, and then during the fire, there was all explosions going off, windows flying out, and it was all blue flames, which struck me gas, you know.
Were you able to help any other people get out?
Well, no, I was just concentrating on the little girl and my girlfriend. Once we was out, we was checking people was okay. I was just in my boxer shorts, no shoes on, nothing. There was a lady outside, a few hundred yards up the road, with a refuse bag, with trousers, shoes for people to put on, because everyone's running out in their 90s and whatnot, you know. And it was just horrendous. I'm just hoping to God that not too many people have perished.
And we've seen people gathering here this morning, clearly utterly traumatised.
Yeah.
I mean, as you are, of course,
Yeah,
as well. I mean, what have other people been telling you about the stories there?
Everyone's just in shock. You know, there's tears. It's just, you know, there's people searching for people now with pictures out. Apparently, there's a lot of kids from the school that are joining the building and are missing. You know, because there was a lot of young kids and a lot of old people living in the block. And it went right up. There weren't no stopping it.
The speed, which is really...
Yeah. It was like pyrotechnic speed, you know. It was... And I think it was all down in the cladding that they've put on the block. It was like plastic. It's just gone whoosh all the way up in seconds. And then there's fire engines there. There was about 8 or 9 fire engines, but there was only 2 of them operating. And everyone's screaming, get up there. You know, you can see silhouettes of people screaming. And apparently someone was jumped out from about the 5th floor or something and landed, but she was okay. And absolute nightmare.
So that was the first-hand account of Mikey, who, as you heard, was on the 7th floor and managed to escape with his partner and his daughter. He was making reference, these are the live images you're seeing now, the smoke still billowing from the building. You get a sense of the scale of the damage to the building itself. Mikey was talking there about how quickly the flames engulfed the building. And if we show you some of the pictures from the early hours of this morning, you get a real sense of just how desperate the situation was. Many of the eyewitnesses we've spoken to this morning have suggested, we can't confirm this, of course, at this stage, that the fire may have started on the 4th floor, certainly on the lower floors of the building, but very quickly, within a matter of minutes, completely engulfed the entire apartment block. We understand there are around 140 flats in all, and these are a mixture of families, older people as well, that may be as many as 500 people in all. And at this stage, London Ambulance Service saying they're treating 30 people who are being helped, who are injured in the scene itself. Many other people, as you hear from Mikey a moment ago, who did escape, have been taken to local centres looking after those who've been caught up in the problems. Let's show you what's happening now at the Grenfell Tower. Fire engines, firefighters still tackling the blaze. There are parts of the building that are still alight, you may be able to see, but we can see flames inside some parts of the building as firefighters tackle it from all sides. More than 200 firefighters and 40 fire engines at the scene. The fire brigade is giving us updates as soon as it can, but obviously its main focus is tackling the blaze in this building. Also, we understand around 30 flats in the surrounding area have been evacuated. Now, this is a very densely populated area of West London, near Notting Hill, near Portobello Market. And we understand that there is, of course, understandably, concerns about the stability of this building in the wake of this blaze. Now, our correspondent Andy Moore is around 500 metres away. And Andy, you've had a view of the emergency services at the scene and obviously people who have been forced to leave the area.
That's right. I mean, you can see yourself, there's still flames in some parts of the building. The hoses are playing on the lower part of the building. Just below me, I can see at the moment that 4 ambulances have arrived with their blue lights flashing. A very large response by the emergency services. We know this was declared a major incident. There were 40 fire engines here, 200 firefighters. We know 20 ambulances were sent and that 30 patients were taken to 5 different hospitals. But at the moment, you can see the firefighters trying to control the blaze. On the left is an automated platform. We don't believe there's anybody on the top of that platform. It's controlled by an operator on the ground. But that part of the building you can see there on the left, the undamaged section, that's where in the middle of the night we saw somebody briefly at a window before hopefully they were rescued inside by the firefighters who went into the building with breathing apparatus to try and...
OK, our correspondent Andy Moore there, not far from the scene. He will keep us updated, of course. And we are waiting for an update from the emergency services soon. The fire brigade expected to give us an update on how exactly they're tackling the blaze. Let's go to Tim Muffet straight away. Tim's at one of the rescue centres. Tim, tell us, you've been hearing many stories from those caught up in the problems.
Yeah, harrowing stories at Latimer Community Church, where people are gathering, trying to talk to friends, other people who might have got out. Guys, what did you see last night? You live nearby, don't you?
So I seen fire engulfing one side of the building. I see families with like towels or blankets outside the windows, and people with smartphone devices with the torch trying to catch people's attention. I've seen a lot of police, but not much fire brigade. And I've seen the helicopter circling around. I've seen one person like for a young child-looking person from a few floors. It must have been around about 4th, 5th floor. And yeah, just a lot of chaos and a lot of screaming.
And have you been speaking to other people here as they're gathering here, obviously in a complete state of shock? What else have you been hearing and what did you see?
The main thing I've been hearing is that there was a long delay between the time that people smelt something, people saw something, called the emergency services, and the emergency services arriving and doing stuff like that. There was a very large gap between that. So
the speed at which the flames took hold, a lot of people have commented upon. Is that something which rings true to you as well?
Yeah, definitely. When we first came, like we said before, there were flames were on one side of the building, and then 10 minutes went boom, more of it was up, and then within no time, like most of the building was set ablaze and it's spreading around.
Did you see many people get out okay?
I saw some people getting out okay. I saw some people getting carried out. Some people getting supported out. So it was like a mixture of.
What about you? Similar story for you as well. Was it the speed at which the flames took hold which surprised you?
Well, for me, I think the one image which sticks in my mind was seeing a family waving what appeared to be a towel for around an hour or an hour and a half, and there was a helicopter, and I'm not sure if it was a media helicopter. I think it was. It seemed, according to people, that it was, coming about 400 meters from their window and then turning around. And for me, the thing that I took from this was how agonizing must that have been for that family when they were, you know, we watched them stop moving from the street, you know, and what can you say?
Indeed, it is utterly horrific. Thank you very much indeed for sharing those eyewitness accounts with us this morning. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. People gathering here in greater number, people walking along with bags of clothes they've clearly grabbed at the last moment, and people within this area trying to come to terms with what has happened. And we are, sadly, I fear, going to hear many, many more harrowing tales like the one we just heard.
Tim, thanks very much. We should warn viewers who are tuning into our special programming here on BBC News that we're bringing reports of a fire. See the building there, that is Grenfell Tower in West London, a 27-storey building with around 120, 140 flats. We understand up to 500 people lived in that building. The fire broke out in the early hours of this morning, between midnight and 1 a.m. this morning. And since then, since the first report of the fire, firefighters have been tackling what has been an horrendously amazing blaze that engulfed the building. There are still flames that we're seeing in parts of the building as, some 7 hours later, firefighters continue to tackle it in order to bring it under control. The cordon around it has been widened in this rather densely populated area of West London near Notting Hill, as there are fears that the building's stability is in doubt.
Yes, if you're unfamiliar with the geography, just looking at these are the images coming from the helicopter, which is taking pictures of the building itself this morning. So this is an area of West London. The old BBC building is nearby. The Westfield Shopping Centre is very close by. As the camera moves around, you may be able to see the A40, the Westway, which is very close. So this is a densely built-up area. As Naga was saying, the area immediately surrounding has been evacuated, and Tim Mufford, as you can see there, has been at one of the centres where many people have been brought to. We're hearing some very harrowing stories this morning. Is worth a word of caution around some of the stories that are emerging. We have heard from people who did escape this morning. Some of those escaping from up to the 7th floor. We heard from Mikey a short time ago, who escaped with his partner, his young daughter. But at this stage, London Ambulance Service saying they've treated 30 people, that's confirmed this morning, have been taken to 5 hospitals nearby, and we're awaiting police and emergency service press conference shortly.
Tim also spoke to another eyewitness, Tamara, who escaped from the building with her friend Samira.
Around 12:30, nearly 1 o'clock, my mum called me and was like, there's a fire outside. So we went outside. By the time I'd got there, the whole left side, right side of the building was on fire. The whole thing was engulfed in flames, and you can hear people screaming, help me, help me, help me. So me, my brother, and some other people who lived in the area ran over to the estate where you could actually still get underneath it, and there's people like throwing their kids out, just save my children, just save my children. And like the fire brigade, the ambulance and the police, they couldn't do nothing. They couldn't get in. They just telling them to just stay there where they are, we'll come and get you. But things quickly escalated beyond measures and they couldn't go back in and get them. It was just too much. Within another 15 minutes, the whole thing was up in flames. And there's still people like at their windows, help me, help me, help me. And you can see the fire going into the house and into the last room that they're in and just engulfing their whole apartment.
Samira, what did you see?
Yeah, it escalated very quickly. You know, around midnight, it was only around like the 3rd floor, and then before you know it, the whole 23 floors of the building were all on fire. And you know, there was people screaming for help, people obviously throwing kids out. And I think it's just everyone felt really helpless because obviously no one could get to them, and everyone was really scared and they didn't know what to do. So it was really sad to see. These are all people that we like grew up with and people we see every day, like our neighbours, and there were little kids there, elderly people, disabled people. There was a lot of people there, family members. Thankfully, family members did make it out, but there's still a lot of people that were there.
Unaccounted for, and especially like my brother, loads of his school friends, they're still wondering if their friends have made it out. They haven't got in contact with them, they haven't heard anything. And one of the girls, she actually lives on the top floor, which was said by the police and the fire that if you were living on the floor, that more time that they haven't made it.
People talk about the speed at which the flames took hold. Is that what struck you?
I think that's what the most shocking thing is to everyone, is how quick it literally went from 0 to 100. Like it was literally just the 4th floor, and that was really it was bad, but it was very minor. And that building's really big. Like it literally escalated.
Tamara speaking to Tim Muffet, our correspondent there, with her friend Samira, who escaped from the building earlier.
Let's bring you right up to date with the latest information coming from the emergency services. A press conference in the last few minutes. London Fire Commissioner says there have been some fatalities in the London fire. So this is just emerging in the last few minutes. A press conference from the emergency services saying there have been some fatalities in the London fire. Also going on to say that the cause of the fire is not yet known.
Now, with these are the comments from the London Fire Commissioner, Danny Cotton, who said this has been declared a major incident. He said the first fire engines were there in under 6 minutes of it being reported. And at the time he was speaking at this conference a short while ago, very sad to confirm that there have been a number of fatalities, though the number cannot be confirmed due to the complexity of the building. And, of course, they're working very closely with police to bring the situation under control. Being described as an unprecedented incident, he says in his 29 years as a firefighter, he's never seen anything on this scale.
Let's go straight to our correspondent, Tim Muffet, who's nearby. Tim.
Yes, I'm joined by Nick Paget-Brown, who's the leader of Kensington and Chelsea Council. Nick, first of all, tell us what you saw, what you've heard from the people you've been speaking to this morning here.
Well, I first received a call about just after 3 o'clock this morning. I came up here as soon as I could. I tried to ensure that the council's emergency planning team were able to provide support to people who've been immediately affected and evacuated from the tower. And I'm pleased to say they've been able to do that, and we're at one of the centres now, and there are other emergency centres nearby. The fire brigade are clearly in attendance on a massive scale, have been for several hours, and it looks likely, sadly, that they'll be here for a lot longer. When we have more information, clearly we will share it, and I'm sure the fire brigade will as well.
Tell us about this block of flats. What do we know about it? Do you know how many people live there?
Well, there's 130 flats or thereabouts. But what we don't yet know is who was in those flats. Clearly a fire in the middle of the night, it would suggest more people are at home than at other times of the day, and it may take them longer to evacuate. But we don't yet know how many people precisely were in there, or how many people may have been staying with friends or may have been absent. So that will need to be established, and the emergency services, who are doing a wonderful job and are on site, will be helping people who might have been trapped.
Were you aware of any concerns raised about these flats before?
Well, there's always concerns about high-rise buildings and what the fire procedures are and what the fire regulations require. There are fire regulations. Blocks are regularly inspected. The organisation which runs the council's housing stock, the tenant management organisation, will commission regular inspections, and clearly there will need to be a thorough investigation as to what what has been investigated here and what the cause of the fire was and why it appears to have spread so rapidly.
Yeah, I mean, finally, you mentioned that the speed at which the fire spread has taken so many people by surprise. So many people we're talking to this morning are astonished by that speed. Is that what you've heard as well?
Well, yes, we heard it had spread, and obviously when you come into the area you can see how extensive the blaze is and how it appears to have spread across the block. And there will need to be a full and thorough investigation as to why the fire that started in presumably in one flat, spread so quickly.
Paget Brown, leader of Kensington and Chelsea Council, thanks very much indeed. Well, one update for you there. More people gathering, and we'll bring those further updates to you as soon as we have them.
Tim, thank you.
We can bring you up to date with what's been happening. You're seeing pictures here of Grenfell Tower in West London, which went up in flames yesterday, early in the hours this morning between 12 o'clock and midnight. We've had a statement from the London Fire Brigade. The Commissioner, Danny Cotton, has said that in her 29 years as a firefighter, she's never seen anything on this scale. It's an unprecedented incident. 200 of her firefighters are attending this incident, and she has also confirmed that there have been a number of fatalities, though cannot confirm the number at this time due to the complexity of the building.
Yes, an emergency number has been set up for anyone concerned about loved ones in the North Kensington fire. Number is 0800 09 61233, and we will, of course, bring you that number again throughout the programme this morning. We're back with our coverage in a few minutes' time now to get the news, travel and weather.